Hey y'all, today we are going to talk about the substitution method when solving linear equations. Now, think about substitution, that word. What does that mean? That means to sub something in. Let's say your teacher wasn't at school. Obviously, you would have a substitute. That substitute is plugging herself in as your teacher for the day. So, let's go through a few problems using the substitution method. Your tips for substitution method: look for given information and plug in what you know. So you're going to plug in that given information, things that you know, plug them in. So let's start with two simple problems and we'll move into two more advanced substitution problems, but you'll need to know them. They're not super advanced as in advanced math or high school math. This is still an 8th grade concept that you need to understand for our classroom. So y, this is number 1, y equals 8 is our first equation, and our second equation is going to be 3y plus 2x equals 10. Okay, so look for given information. What is something that you automatically know in these two equations? I know that y equals 8. So by now, you should understand that all of your answers, when you're dealing with linear equations, should be written in an x comma y format. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my brackets over here and get ready, my parentheses, and get ready for my x comma y answer. I know that y equals 8. It tells me that. That's the look for given information. I know that y equals 8, so I'm going to plug it in for my y spot. I'm halfway to my answer. Now, using the substitution method, we are going to sub in what we know. We know that y equals 8. So if y equals 8, I'm going to look at my other equation, and I'm going to sub in an 8 for the y. Now, it would not make sense to rewrite this problem as 38. No. You should be a little more advanced than that. And you should know that this means to multiply the 3 by 8. Then bring down the rest of your problem. So let's distribute that. What is 3 times 8? 24. Plus your 2x equals 10. Now let's just solve for our variable x. Subtract 24 on both sides. 2x equals negative 14. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. And you now know that x equals negative 7. So you have the second part of your answer, negative 7. If you were to graph these two equations, y equals 8 and 3y plus 2x equals 10, after you put this in y equals mx plus b format, these would they wouldn't overlap, but they would crisscross over each other at negative 7, 8. So let's go ahead and try our second example. Our second problem is going to be y equals, let's see, do I need to move it down? There we go. Y equals 3x plus 5 and x equals 4. Okay, so let's look for given information. Is there anything visible for us that we can work with really quick? We know that x equals 4. So let's go ahead and plug that in as our answer. And we are going to substitute that in. So x equals 4. I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it in for the x spot. And I'm going to rewrite that problem to solve for it. Y equals, like I said before, it does not make sense to write 34. When you are subbing something in, you're taking the place of the variable, so you have to distribute. 3 times 4 plus 5. So y equals 12 plus 5. Y equals 17. So you now know your x comma y. You just substituted that information in. If you were to graph x equals 4 and y equals 3x plus 5, these two equations would intersect at 4, 17. That is your solution. Now, let's move on to a problem where the given information isn't just visible for you, and it's not just one simple number. Let's look at number 3. Okay, so with number 3, we have y equals negative 4x plus 11 and negative 2x minus 5y equals 17. Now, is there any given information that is super quick, so fast, we can go ahead, take it over here, and write it in our x comma y slot? No, it is not. We have 2 problems. So, what we know is, we know that y is going to equal all of this, but you cannot write that as your y slot. You're only allowed to have one number there. So we have to find out what y is. But using the substitution method, we can take this information and plug it in for y. Then distribute that negative 5 to everything up there. So let's rewrite this showing that actual step. So we're going to rewrite negative 2x minus 5. Now, because y equals all of that information, you're going to open up parentheses and plug in this entire information for this y slot. Negative 4x plus 11. Close your parentheses because that's all that was up there, and then finish writing your equals 17. Equals your problem. Now, we need to distribute this problem to solve for x. Once we find x, we'll be able to turn back around and go plug it into this problem. So let's distribute and solve because we just substituted that in for that y. Negative 2x. All right, a negative times a negative makes a positive 20x. Negative 5 times positive 11 makes negative 55. Then bring down your equals 17. Now, you have some combining like terms to do right here before you can move on. Negative 2x plus 20 makes 18x. Bring down your negative 55 or minus 55 equals 17. In order to solve for x, you're still using your inverse operations. So add 55 on both sides. 18x equals 17 plus 55. It's going to make 72. Divide by 18 on both sides, and you get x equals 4. So now you know part of your answer, x equals 4. Did we know what our y equals? No, we didn't. We do know that y equals negative 4 times x plus 11. Well, because I know what x equals, I can take this x equals 4 right here, and I can take that and plug it back in for the x spot in this one to know what y equals. So if y equals negative 4 times x plus 11, because I know that x equals 4, I can substitute that in. Negative 4 times positive 4 plus 11. Well, what is negative 4 times positive 4? That's going to make negative 16 plus 11. So y equals negative 5. You just substituted what you found for your answer back into one of the problems to find your other ordered pair. I hope this helps y'all. Have a great day.